The story about my time in Russian army, I will start before because explain the situation, it was in 1990s. Soviet countries already began separate several, including mine. And when I came back from my first bigger travel in Russia, in Far East, and China as well, I was this same year. Then I basically the military organization still functioned in my country, by Russian military, I mean. But it was clear that we are not going to be there very long. So the local people was giving option not to go to a Russian army, but to do some service at home, in home country. And I wasn't that kind of guy because there wasn't any military yet, own military. It was still Russian military protecting the country from, let's say, foreign interventions. And own military didn't exist, and you basically had to do some work for half a year, or to do some, let's say, training, just local training camps, military style, because it wasn't real military yet. Even now it isn't. It's so many 20 years fast in my country where we may have one tank. So anyway, I'm going away from team. The point is that I wanted to have some benefit as well, not going to army just like that. I didn't have a driving license, professional driving license for trucks. So I went to DOSAAF. It's a military organization, Russian military organization, which trains you before going to army. So I was 6 months there. Before going to army, I got my driving license for truck and BTR. It's in English, I don't know. It's amphibious car and 8 wheels. So I got driving license for that as well. And when I went to army, I was dropped into the Uchebka. It's this training camp first, not a real Vaiska. Vaiska, it means acting army or something like that. So in training camp I was. But some training camps are not easier than real army because you really get trained there. So I got dropped into a tank battalion. And I was I think 2 weeks or 1 month, no more. I was there because they were missing people in active army, and they already, it's a crisis time. Countries were leaving Russia, and nobody wanted to go to army, and so I went to voluntarily. I was given option not to go, but I said to officers that I want to go because I was the last from my country, last team who actually went to Russian army, because I wanted to grow up a man, and I wanted to have a real training to protect the country, any country where I will live in future, to learn war art a little bit too. Even though before army, in Soviet times, we had trainings and shootings from Kalashnikov, and we knew already because it was part of my technical school training. It was obligatory in my country. Every man had to go through shooting training, and girls did the medical first aid training. And the point was that I went voluntarily, last team, and in Uchebka I was given option to go to the army or stay, continue studying tanks. So I decided I want to go to real army, not to just hang 1 year or half a year studying. Engineering. I already came from engineering school, and I wasn't a big fan of engineering, but I was fine with engineering stuff. It wouldn't give me anything new. I mean, to keep studying there. just a particular technology of a tanks, but nothing new in technological sense. So before I skipped to the army where I was, I say a few words about Uchebka. It was fun, you know. Fun thinking back, but it wasn't fun when I was there. For example, when we had shower, it was cold shower completely, and temperature, I went to winter, end of winter, and it was 0 degrees outside, and when you take shower, cold shower, completely cold shower, and come out, then you have cold, and we had over half of personnel got sick, and really sick. I mean, I don't know if somebody died or not, but because I was already, for that time, I was gone after these issues to the real acting army. But acting army, because I wasn't in war, but they are different names, just let's say like that. So we had drills all the time, at night time and the morning, anytime you had drills how to make beds, and anyone who has been in army, we know it's not fun. Everything has to be very neat, and it's not, you don't have time to do it. Like 20 seconds, you stay still in the bed, and you know already, because you wake up, you after a few days, you already wake up before the alarm. And you already prepared that as soon as the alarm goes off, you just have 20 seconds to get clothes on, to get bed done, and you get on the pastroika. It means that everybody is online, and everybody, of course, 20 seconds, it's impossible at first. After you have to, and you will. And first it was 1 minute, and less and less and less, and all kind of this kind of fun stuff. But Uchebka is like our closest officers. Actually, they were all the guys who were same guys as us before, and we were like tired and angry. We didn't want all this kind of drill to do on us neither, because apart of this we had also running and with gas masks, etc. And I skipped that because our first superiors, I mean Starshina, like first rank after the simple soldier, they just, when the alarm was that there is a gas attack, and everybody ran out to a field with masks to crawl on the camp side. Starshina, with our team, I was lucky, our team was, I think, 20 people, something like small group, because everybody's spread to the groups. We just went out of a little, it was like training city, let's say, a training city, and they hid behind the wall. And after lying down there behind the wall, instead of going to run with gas masks, because Uchebka is big, there are thousands of people, but they don't count everyone. So our little group of 20 people, we just hid behind the low wall was, but we had to still hid very early in the morning in the dark, that nobody could see us. We couldn't hang around. So after, I don't remember, it was very long, it felt very long, maybe it was half an hour or something, but if it's 0 degree outside, a minus, that you can't move and you are still, so after a while you start to wish that you better be running and keeping yourself warm. But and people started to come up when we kind of came into out little by little, and joined and made tired faces. But after we heard how tough it was from other people, actually run with gas masks in the mud, even with 0 degree outside, then basically, or frozen, I don't remember, it was just very cold. You were lucky that you didn't. I didn't just have to do that. But that was these are the few memories which I had from. There wasn't really a fight in Uchebka. It was we just anybody didn't have time for that, for internal conflicts. We just studied and made our like training drills, and that's it. But when I got to acting army, it was actually not real acting army, but I think certain information might be still confidential, so I don't tell where and where it was. But I was a driver officially. I was a driver of a big truck, and also, if necessary, of a bit air. But I was assigned to a trucks company, which I never drove. All the trucks were there neatly on the stands, so it was like kind of reserve battalion. But it wasn't because of that that we didn't drive a lot. Sometimes we went out to the fields and in forests, and we had this fun. But when you were in the division, it was not fun because we weren't very busy. And where soldiers are not very busy, then all the soldiers in Russia time is Dedovshchina called. Dedovshchina means it's like all the guys are just making younger guys to work and having fun over them. So as soon as I arrived, I mean, the first day, it was just we got our caserne, our team, and there were a few guys who weren't any officers, just all the guys, usual soldiers as us, came into our younger guys' caserne. And kazarma, I don't know how it's actually called in English, but kazarma, it's in Russian. Kazarn, I think. So they came in and made everybody stand up and made like pastroika to control everyone, to see their faces, to teach them a lesson, like first lesson. And I was just lying down on the bed, and I didn't follow the orders because I knew they are not officers, and I was very well prepared, I mean, in martial arts. So I think, okay, I'm not gonna just follow orders which are not postroju. Postroju, it means not by the law, let's say, but not by the army law. And they just passed by my bed, and they just looked that I'm lying down. I don't give a damn, and they didn't touch me. And after they had their first lesson, the other guys who followed their orders, I think second day they got the kind of sense that I'm a new guy as well, and came to me and said, why you are not standing up, something like that. And I said, who are you, and they tried to explain me something. It went almost to a fight, but it didn't come to a fight because they obviously sensed that I would beat them pretty well. So we waited for better times, and they warned me that they come at night and kill me, etc. But that time I didn't give them the time. So later neither, but anyway, we had a competition. We had a competition, normal competition, like officers created competitions for young comings, newcomers, of I don't know, girya. In Russian it's girya. It's you have to just push it up, and who does it more, he wins the competition, just for points. And we were two guys, first and second place. It was one other guy, I and the other guy. It was from Urals, Russian Urals, and he was a drummer, actually. He was a drummer, and Andrei Trinikhin. And he had very strong arms because of all the time from youth he was beating drums, and he was just the upper body was strong. And I don't remember first, second place who was, either I or him, or we had equals. It's just the little detail didn't matter that time. But first and second place we got the premium to eat double portion during lunchtime. And that's where the problems began, because anyone who's been in Russian army, food is scarce. All the guys eat the meat, everything out from food, and give you the rest. And when they saw us, because all the guys also they deal the food, they're also working in the kitchen and on control positions where they can have some make some money sometimes, and. So we had order of officers. We won the competition with Andrei Trinikhin, and we just didn't have any idea yet. We were not so well educated about local customs in kitchens, etc. So first week, it was all first or second week. And, take usual 2 portions. Everybody takes 1, we take 2. And first thing, the eyes were like plates, and the guys look at us and say, what the fuck, in Russian, of course. And they took away from us, and we took another one. And the other officers were standing by. They couldn't really do anything about it. We just said that, look, we won a competition, we have double portion today. And they didn't, of course, care about our competition. We just wanted to make their laws and said, okay, we'll talk after. And after we talked, it was actually, as I found out that, I don't give a damn anyway. I was already a little bit fighting of it, little scuffles, not really fight yet, but little scuffles. So they couldn't do anything to me. So they didn't come out alone. So when we were eaten, we knew now it's gonna happen something, because you just know by the sense, atmosphere in the kitchen, that something is coming up. Before we went out, one of all the guys pulled me to the kitchen where officers wouldn't see. They pulled me to the kitchen inside. And when I was just leaving the plate, I put the plate down because they came up to me. I thought this fight is coming, but they just, okay, come in, come to the kitchen, we talk. And I didn't give a damn. I just went, and knives, kitchen knives, big ones, like 5 people or something, maybe even more, but all the guys, and with knives all on me, and started to explain me something, and we just about to start a fight when officer came in, because they saw something is happening, that nobody's working anymore delivering food, and they left me in peace, so I could go out, but I knew that continuation gonna happen after. And while we were eating, we already mentally preparing with Andrei that, we're gonna fight, because if he let us down, it's gonna be over. Nothing brings it back anymore. You're gonna end 2 years in army. Actually, I was only 5.5 months in the army. I got finally home, but I will explain later why. So. We went out. After eating, we prepared. We told everybody else in our rota. Rota, it means our little, not even division. It's like part of, 20 people just who lived in the same casern. We told the guys we got to fight, or we're gonna have bad time after. Let's better to do all together right in the beginning. Stick together, and we just. They're normal people. They're coming from, usual civilian life, and many of them didn't know anything about fights. They were scared to death, so we couldn't find any support. So we decided we're gonna fight anyway. We're gonna fight 2 of us only. And I was well prepared, but Andrei was just very brave. He was just a drummer. He wasn't any martial art expert, or even I don't remember that he knew anything, but. So officer was still eating. Our rota was our division, little camp, 20 people went out already. So, and then we see like were coming like 50, 60, 100 people, all the Russian Asia guys. Who's from Russia, he knows, like a little bit normal, little bit small and height, but they are more aggressive usually, and like darker face, darker skin, I mean. And we started to move a little bit, because officers, we were still outside of kitchen waiting for officers. And I don't want to make this story very long. Anyway, we moved a little bit away, and like 50, 100 people around us. And we took back to back with Andrei, and everybody was like 2 meters away, and we started to explain something, but then suddenly it went just like 20 seconds. Suddenly it started, it was 20 seconds, it was all over. And when officers arrived, there were like people holding their backs and holding their eyes and a little bit around, but not us, not any of us. It's just I even didn't know myself that I was so well prepared, because I never had like a real fight for life, because they could have killed us, But probably something kicked in after so many years of training and hard training. I was really training hard martial arts in different ones. So it kicked in, and when you're scared, not scared, but when you know that you're gonna either die or fight, so it was instead other people were just lying down. And when after officers run, and because people get black skinned guys, they got scared when they saw already like 10 people lying around. They told me it was 15. Sam told me after it was 15 people who were injured after, but I saw something like 10 people, and we started to run away. Staying back, because we knew we couldn't do anything. And when officers came and started to ask what happened, and nothing happened, nothing happened, just, people fell down. But they of course, they knew what happened. And later, next morning, we called 2 people, me and during morning Bastroika, morning division control in the, how it's called, in English, I don't know even, na placu, it means on the open field, where everybody stands up. We have like 1,500 people in this division. It was quite a big one, but so me and the Andrei, we were called out in front of division, and I think it was less, because it seems it was less people, but probably not everybody was same time in the. I knew it was 1,500. Somebody told, but not everybody was same time in the internal camps. Some divisions, parts of division were in the field training, so I didn't see so many people, but several hundred people anyway were there, and we were called in front of a division, and the general, some of the generals, I don't remember his rank, told that, look guys, so these are the real soldiers, so you have to fight. After that, everybody knew our faces, me and Andrei, and we were left alone. Nobody touched us. They came to us and wanted to be friends, all the guys, and some of them started kind of, let's try with me. They said, no, I'm not gonna try. Try me, you have to kill me, because if you don't kill me, I kill you, So they left us alone. But anyway, I had some health problems, allergy, since young age, and I began having skin coming off my fingers and on the head, and so I was put in medical medical sunchast, it's called, like for control, and it was because of bad food, probably, because food was really bad in Soviet times in army. Lack of vitamins, and as I had already allergy before when I was young, it showed up suddenly. And officers knew me already. Everybody knew me there, and Andrei. But Andrei was still in the real casern. I was in medical casern, so. Somebody has to do also the cleaning job in medical casern, and not officers, not cleaning stuff, but the soldiers themselves. So it was tough to put sick people, to work, because everybody find an excuse, as much as they could, of course. And then officers told me, okay, you're gonna be starshina, for me, that you're gonna take control of a medical casern, and I did. So I put even all the guys who were already 2 years there, but they were on medical division. They didn't have any friends to back up them, so we were just one by one from different divisions, and I put them to work, because somebody has to clean, But then, because we had fun time as well, we just at night time we escaped and went to a city, and with our medical clothes, because we didn't have soldier clothes, and take the pillow covers and go to bakeries and bring back full pillow covers of feathers, or how we call it, and full of bread, because the bakers, in Russia time especially, they had a lot of breads which are not good to sell, which are a little bit bad or little pieces or something like, and they gave everything which they couldn't sell, which were left like not normal standard, not standard. They gave everything to us, and sometimes even good ones. And when we came back and they divided, of course, between us, and they ate the heat in the pillows for a couple of days sometimes, the bread, because it was missing. Food was even in the medical part was missing. But I see how long it is already, my talk. Maybe I should cut the video, but anyway, I finished the army talk with that I had pretty good time in that sense, but psychologically it was tough, because I was used to freedom. As I told, I was traveling through all the Russia, and the military, you still had to watch your back all the time. You didn't know who had a grudge on you because of you are just young and borzy. It means you are too you think too much of yourself, you know. So it was that sense. It wasn't even tough, but toughest time, and psychologically, was the lack of freedom. Lack of freedom before I was, because I was 5.5 months. I wasn't all the time medical. I was also in a field for a couple of weeks, and I had fights there. And there they basically explained me, a couple of older guys, they explained me that you cannot finish alive in army like that. In our 1,500 people division, 5 people get killed. I mean, in internal, not on war, internal conflicts. So how many of them got injured seriously, you don't know, but 5 people ended up dead in 5 months, 5.5 months. So you can imagine it wasn't easy. And all the guys, when I was in camping, I mean not camping, we were on a field in the forest, and one day then people went to eat. They called me to another casern, to their casern, 2 older guys, and they just said like, you just have to respect older guys as well, you know. And because I was protecting one guy, I protected once one guy who was about to be beaten up, and the older guys just said me that you cannot protect anyone who doesn't fight for himself, and they were right. So basically, one had a shovel in hand, another one, I remember, with a hammer or something had in hand, and they said that just to teach you a lesson, you have to to give one hit. And I was thinking that what's better, to get one hit or to beat them down, because I could. But I thought, okay, less trouble. I let them, one guy, to hit me once in face, just to accept that they were right. And they broke my lip, and that's the only injury I had in army, a part of my allergy. But then I was left apart, and I didn't protect anyone anymore. They had some fights with other guys, and everybody has to fight for himself in Russian army, or to be a part of a team, and everybody has to fight, but not like somebody goes to protect anyone. That's not the way it works in Russian army, at least. So after these issues were over, and I was basically having good time, and I still didn't mention the toughest moment psychologically. It was in Russia. It's like Krasny Ugolok. It's like something like red corner in like a socializing place. Let's say we have a couple of minutes or half an hour, sometimes free time as well. Even in Russian army. So there was like one room called Krasny Ugolok, and nobody was doing nothing, just relaxing. And when I watched the pictures, because there were just some beautiful nature pictures from Russian, I don't know, Siberia or something, and I was thinking back that I missed it so much. I missed it so much for freedom, that not to fight, not to watch your back, and not to have this poor food. The food was probably even worse when I, no, not worse actually. I had worse time travel times as well, but not all the time. But in military, you had all the time bad food, and all the time had to watch your back, and you didn't have any relax. It was a tough moment psychologically when it was a moment of calm, and you were on your own, and you watch these beautiful pictures on the wall in the red corner, and I was just so much missing the freedom. It was just hurting like soul. I was 18 years old. Imagine, I wasn't any gang member, never. So I didn't have such a tough life psychologically that nothing would care anymore. So that was when I felt like how much I missed the freedom. That was a tough moment, like psychologically, really. It crunched the soul. It's like, but I had to carry on. And then just happened that my father died when I was in army, and they found me through the officers in my town. So because I didn't tell anyone where I went, only my parents know I'm in the Russian army, but they didn't even know where. And they found me many days later. Because even the army didn't work so well, they didn't know where I go, so I had to send information, and up to where they found me up. And when I got home, and during the home, I collected all the documents to show that I had this allergy since I was young already, and I could have stayed in my country and could have not gone back to the army, but that was not my style. I went back, I provided the documents. I was still a couple of months in the army then, in the central medical like institution there, to make all the tests and to confirm really that this allergy doesn't help, doesn't go away, didn't let me to carry guns or whatever, because the skin was coming really off. It was just blood, and sometimes even up to bone some places. So it was really bad. I wanted to get rid of it, but I couldn't, because something was really wrong in my body, in metabolism, and skin was coming off my head as well. So I don't still know, because I never had it so bad. I never had before, I never had after the army. So probably their psychological stress together with the bad food and everything, it just blocked my organism somehow. So they let me free. But one thing I forgot to mention, that army, everybody in army, after the first few weeks you have to take prisyaga. Prisyaga is like oath to army, oath to the country, and I refused that. I said, listen guys, not like that, but I explained to officers that I came voluntarily. I couldn't have not come. I came here to be a soldier, but I don't give any oath to any country, any army. I just I'm ready to protect the people when necessary against aggression. And it was ЧП. ЧП – it means чрезвычайное положение. And this is an extreme situation in army, because nobody ever had refused to give oath to army. So I refused, and I was still sent to a camp outside in a forest. So the general of the division came to the forest and to talk to me in pretty angry voice, and said like, what the fuck is that, you have to take or I will send to Kuril Islands. And I responded him that I just came from the Far East before the army. I've been traveling that I haven't been yet in Kuril Islands, and that would be interesting. And he looked at me like such a face I can't make this expression, but he looked at me and said that it will not be fun there anyway, he said me, but I knew he's not gonna be sending me there anymore, because nobody from, countries were separating from Russia, so they wouldn't do that. I kind of felt it. I saw anger in his face, but I saw he wasn't really like shouting on me neither, because he understood me. But I came here voluntarily in army anyway. And but for him was problem. Even he was like a general of a whole division. He had to somewhere write protocols to Moscow, probably, that one guy refuses to take oath. And because of that, I wasn't given any watch posts with arms, because without taking oaths, you can't carry arms. I mean, I could, but I preferred probably better not to, and because of just juridical reasons. And when I was official driver, which I never drove during the army. I had a lot of training before and after, of course, but in army I didn't went so far. Just when I was in camping, before we started to do the driving lessons. Many of the Russian actually who came from mountains, they bought the driving licenses. They even didn't know where all the stuff is in the cars, and were sent back and to different divisions probably. But it's just a story about the general sense about this army. And I was basically it was just running and training in this sense in a forest before. And as I was only 5.5 months in army, I couldn't go to really like driving missions. Just watching cars in garage, standing on the wooden like blocks. And what else? That's it about the army story. So when I get back, finally I got decommissioned, and I went back. I still, of course, went to center in my town to present there that I arrived back from the service, and present my documents. And they basically gave me the army document that I've been in the army, and I'm just decommissioned, but just still in reserve. But that was written that they took the oath. So I look at that and say, I haven't taken oath, you know. So I don't know, I got this, and I said, no, I haven't taken any oath. So I gave it back to him and said, like, correct this, and I'm not gonna take that. And he did. He just wrote something on top of that and put a signature. I remember it was like that. Maybe it was different, but it was how my memory works right now. That I remember that he corrected that, and I finally took it. But when political issues began in my country and it was separating, and I basically threw them away. I burned them, all this kind of stuff. I wasn't really politically well aware. I was philosophically, yes, because I studied martial arts and also history of martial arts and philosophy of martial arts and